Hello, everybody. First of all, I want to give shout out to all of our Lighthouse team members to say thank you for covering, rocking the old walking boot and learning a lot about myself this week. And that, is such a gift when we say that pain has purpose and we are not outside our own realm of advice. And yes, we have these things that we have to navigate too. And it has been very interesting to learn how difficult it is for me to sit still. And, walking around on it felt pretty good last week. Pain added up and had to reroute to stay off of it this week. So big shout out to Dr. Derek and the girls for holding down the fort and showing up for all of our people in-house. And the reason why I share that is just for anybody that's got something, right, that just won't go away. It comes with the invitation to say, okay, I'm doing all the things. I'm trying to be patient. It's not gone yet. So what else, body, mind, soul, thoughts, traumas, toxins, physical, chemical, emotional, breaking it down into these categories is like, what else can I be doing, right? And sometimes the answer is rest, which is maybe the hardest medicine for some of us to take. But if it's not gone yet, that means that we haven't fully healed or gotten the lessons that this particular predicament may have been teaching us. So I just thank everybody for their grace. And, I know that we go through these things for a reason. And it definitely, makes me more empathetic to the pain that all of you carry as well. I am going to drop a few links into some things that we've shared on social and then we've been getting questions about in the office. 86 cold press locally. I just love Austin and his products. I'm drinking Repair. It's got pear, pineapple, and fennel, so appropriate because this is the kind of stuff that's good for my nursing moms to help up their milk. I'm not pregnant. I'm not nursing, but I turn to people like this because, in our postpartum, maybe we don't feel like making juices, but he delivers this every Tuesday morning in a cute little pack. So we'll drop that link, and he gave us a little discount code for our Lighthouse people as well. And the other thing is we've been talking a lot about raw dairy and local farms, and I love Born-Traeger Farm, and I love their raw dairy options, their bone broth options, their honey, their sourdough. They kind of got it all, and they deliver as well. So I'm going to put that in the chat. And then let's get started. So today is a huge topic that I'm going to try and just concisely put in a pretty package here to cover eagle view. And then if there's specifics, please put your, thoughts, comments, questions into the chat because it's big. And the top things that I would start with, and it didn't print great, but are these books, The Well-Adjusted Babies and Ina May's Guide to Childbirth are two of those just solid resources that I would make sure if you're considering getting pregnant or you are pregnant, get those in your library, start reading them, buy them for the women in your life that are pregnant. These are the best shower gifts, right? These are the things that could change the trajectory of a mother's life. And I purposefully wore my Make Kids Healthy Again hat because the way that we make kids healthy again is that we nurture and tend to our mothers. And the way that we raise healthy kids begins during pregnancy and really, I'd argue, preconception, right? The way that we clean our bodies and we prepare to be pregnant and the way that we take care of ourselves through pregnancy then tags into the way that we experience labor and delivery, in the way that we are either fearful of it or we are empowered, in our walk with that, which then becomes our experience through postpartum, and that impacts the baby, impacts the family, and impacts really the decades and years that follow. So let's start in pregnancy for today's purposes. And I'm going to talk about chiropractic, of course, so we'll save that towards the end. But first, nutrition and supplements are everything. We've learned a lot about folate and folic acid. So making sure that you're on a really good quality prenatal vitamin, and consider, if you're nauseous and getting sick, pills may not be a great option. So look at something that's a liquid form. And I like the Mary Ruth. I like the Ritual. There's a lot of really good organic options. And I like going to our local health food store like Natural, of course, where they can help you muscle test and talk about specifics of what's going on with you. So maybe you're somebody that, has issues with anemia, and maybe you're somebody who's really nauseous. Maybe you're somebody who gets constipated. Maybe you're somebody who can't sleep. There's all different things. So we have our basics in a prenatal, but it's really a bigger picture than that. And so I like Natural, of course, because they're small. They know their supplements, and they help you do some muscle testing to figure out what's going to be a compatible fit for you. So that we cover those bases in a whole food base. Some, folate, no folic acid, good quality omegas for brain development, nurturing the mom, nurturing the baby's needs, and then you got to clean your diet up. It it matters so much because you're you're growing a human, and you're meeting the needs of the life that you had prior to being pregnant. And usually we don't stop, right? It doesn't become an all consuming focus. We just kind of figure the pregnancy tab in with all the other tabs we have going in our life. And so, your nutrition, your fuel is essential. So making sure that you're getting really good basics in your whole foods, that you're eating foods that are giving you life, not siphoning it away. Trying to clean the processed chemicals out of your food is huge. I mean, this becomes when it's bigger than you, and sometimes forces the hand to do some things maybe we've thought about doing, because the building blocks, the nutrient building blocks that you're giving yourself and your child will become the fuel that you're using through the marathon of labor, delivery, postpartum, and the way you take care of yourself through the arc of pregnancy becomes either the energy you have or don't have on the other side of birth. So nutrient and supplements is big. A bit, you got to get moving. So yoga, exercise, walking, mobility, maintaining that really decreases the likelihood that we're going to have, different aches and pains and problems through labor and delivery, because we're staying fit and we're staying, we're working our lungs, we're working our stamina, we're taking good care of our body. Big, huge fan of the Bloom method. So this is an app. It's easy. She's taken the guesswork. It covers all the things that you could be doing pre, during, post, every stage of pregnancy and postpartum. It's a little app. It's super affordable. We have a coupon code LUX10 that you can go check it out. But Brooke is amazing. And I love it because it's easy and accessible. And 95% of the women that come through our offices, or that I'm friends with, or myself included, we're busy. We're doing all these things. So busy becomes the reason that we don't eat well, that we don't move well. So we want to think really tactically and practically about how to get past, some of those time limitations. And the Bloom method it's that. So check it out. Mindfulness and meditation. So getting that vision board going from early in pregnancy is huge. What type of birth do you want to have, which will be my next one, but practicing, meditation and stillness in these yoga practices and hypnobirthing techniques to calm any anxieties, to be able to access that stillness and that clear mindset and strong centered body for when you need it, when the contractions hit. Again, the more reps we put in through the pregnancy journey, the more accessible they are when it comes to labor and delivery. So nutrition and supplements, prenatal yoga, exercise, walking, mindfulness and meditation. There's all kinds of stuff on the internet, guys. This wasn't originally on my list, but one of the questions we get a lot is about ultrasounds. And I've had two sets of twins, and they want to ultrasound them, way more often than a single birth. And I would just call you to get creative with your practitioner and ask more questions. There's not a ton of solid research on the implications of ultrasounds and what's happening. Yes, on one hand, we can say it's minimal exposure to radiation, but we do know that there is heat, and that does cause tissue damage, and it does cause cellular changes, and it does impact cellular development. We just don't know how much, right? Really being in your power to say, why are we doing them? Do I need to do them? Knowledge is power. And I understand there's red flags and there are situations. What I don't like is when there's blanket protocols that one size fits all, because that's just not the way that health and life works, and it's not the way women in birth work. And so we need a one size fits all. I want you to have that relationship with your practitioner to be able to say, like, why? And when we know that there are some risks associated with it, you need to be in the driver's seat of your choice and own that responsibility so that it's not, well, my doctor said I had to. We're leaving those days where my doctor said I had to cuts it. We are entering an era where women are building really strong, empowering villages, and they're standing in their options, and they're making really um, aligned choices from a place of courage and confidence instead of somebody else dictating what they should do. So know why you're doing it, and really look at those risks: the heat and tissue damage, the cellular effects, the potential hearing disturbances, and talk about that with your significant other and your doctor, and make the choice that's right for you. And only go in looking and gathering knowledge when we absolutely have to, right? Less intervention is better. I think all practitioners should be able to agree on that. Um, and I probably could have made this number one, but the biggest thing, if I had to pick one besides chiropractic, which I'm going to drop a link from the American Pregnancy Association that you can go read about what they have to say about the health benefits are of chiropractic, because I'm a chiropractor and you know what I'm going to say. It helps, mitigate your pain. It helps optimize alignment. It keeps your pelvis in order. It enhances the ideal positioning for mom and for baby. It minimizes interuterine constraint with the things like the Webster technique that we're specialized in. So it optimizes the likelihood that baby's going to get head down and that labor and delivery are going to go as well as possible. It minimizes dystocia. It helps with nausea. It helps clear things like headaches and carpal tunnel. There are just a number of reasons why it is safe, effective, and extremely beneficial for our pregnant moms to be getting checked. And it does help set the child up on a healthy trajectory. If mom's making time for health and wellness for herself through pregnancy, then that builds a culture within the home that health and wellness are at the forefront. And she's doing due diligence for herself. She's going to do due diligence for her baby. And then we avoid sicknesses and illnesses and crisis and things down the road because we're dealing in the prevention and the wellness arena first. Mitigate some of that likelihood of C-section, forceps intervention happening. Doesn't totally negate it, but it's one of the things that helps nurture you body, mind, and soul through the marathon that is pregnancy and labor and delivery, and has a number of benefits. So make sure and check out that link. And then going back, number one thing is start with the end in mind. So what type of birth do you want? We live in the age of comparison and abundance of information. So while it looks really beautiful for some women to have this home birth in the water with the midwife, no ultrasounds or even unassisted birth. I mean, there's over here, and then there's hospital, planned C-section, and everywhere in between, right? There's a ton of intervention and there is no intervention. And every birth carries its own medicine. I am a firm believer that every child is born how they are meant to, and that the birth carries medicine for the mother and the child. And that's why I like people like Ayla Cuenca, who help us, unpack what happened in our own birth, because we are women who grew up watching movies of women in these crazy stirrups going, "Ah!" And it looks so painful. And we're literally programmed to believe that birth is awful and it's medical. And I just don't believe it has to be. But it also comes with, we have to untangle that wiring. We have to face our fears. We have to face our doubts. We really need a strong village who pours into us and helps us see our blind spots and helps us prepare. And ultimately, we have to surrender because we don't have control over the way that it's going to go. And that's okay. Surrender to God, to trusting the process. Trusting our bodies is one of the most beautiful journeys that any woman could go on, which is why I love talking about birth, because my 5 births birthed me. Every single birth, pregnancy, this journey has yielded a different version of myself and taught me so much about what I can do and what I can't do and what I'm afraid of and what, I believe is truth and what the way I will advocate for. I mean, I look at my first birth, pregnancy, and how I wouldn't ask questions because I was scared to. I didn't know what to expect because I hadn't had any. And then, each one is different and you start to show up for yourself better. And so start with that end in mind. Get books like Well Adjusted Babies and Ina May Gaskin's Guide to Childbirth to know what your options even are. Sit with a doula. A doula is one of the best investments you could ever make to get to know who you are and what you want. And then you can decide, do I want a midwife? Do I want an OBGYN? Do I want a hospital home birth or birth center? But don't do anything because you feel like you should. Um, really sit with what you want for yourself and for your child. So start with that end in mind, practice mindfulness and meditation along the way, be moving with yoga and exercise, look into the Bloom method, check out chiropractic care to maintain alignment, reduce, pain and optimize pelvic positioning. Look to your nutrition and your supplements. And that would be, I guess, the sum of the quickest, little package I could put together for birth. And look into the risks and benefits of things like ultrasound. I don't care what the topic is. Know what it is. What are the risks? What are the benefits? Why am I doing it? Why is it necessary for my journey right now? And do I choose yes or do I choose no? Mothers radically unplugging ourselves from, because my doctor said so is it's it's the way forward. It is our ticket to a wildly different existence here on planet Earth. So, cheering you on every step of the way. I am going to grab my charger really quick because my computer just started screaming at me that. So, time out real quick. I say real quick, and there is no real quick in Dr. Devin land right now, hobbling across the room on that boot. Love it. I love it. So please, if you have questions on the pregnancy side of things, reach out. If you have questions about safety, efficacy of chiropractic through pregnancy, please reach out. If you need recommendations for local places in any of these categories, of how you can build a really strong village around you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let's move. Let's talk about labor and delivery. Movement is key. So, you look at this traditional messaging that we have, and it's really hospital protocol, right? So, a woman gets checked in, we plug in the IV. Hospital settings are all about controlling the controllables, right? So it's easier, it's more manageable in most hospital settings. There are some better ones like the Wesley Birth Care Center or St. Joe. There's places where they're more open to allowing, even that word is hard because it's like we shouldn't need permission to move while we're experiencing labor, but that is what it is in a hospital setting. Their whole goal in a hospital is to control the controllables and create structure for things to go the way they want them to go. And so that makes moms moving the way that we're innately designed to move in labor and delivery difficult, and getting into some of these. And we want you to be able to walk, we want you to be able to squat, we want you to be able to get on hands and knees or get in and out of water, because these movements allow you to listen into your body and feel what your baby's trying to tell you. And when we have an epidural and that messaging is blocked, it makes it very difficult for mom and baby to be connected in this dance. And so, is the pain of labor fun? No, it's not. And yet the things I thought would hurt because of all that programming I'd had about how scary and painful birth was, you know, they didn't hurt. The parts that I really had to, like, let go more than push were not the type of pain I was anticipating, right? And so, consider that you could have in your birth plan options that allow you to move, allow you to walk, allow you to squat, talk to your practitioner, talk to what's, you know, possible in your environment. We love Ginger Young and the Wichita Birth Alliance and Born Midwifery and the Yoder Birth Center. We have amazing resources, and all of them offer the option to be at home or the option to be in a more, birth center type controlled environment that's not the hospital. So remember, like, there is this end of the pendulum and there is this end of the pendulum and there is every shade and color in between. And you really want to sit with that end in mind of what you want. And all I can tell you is from being in a very hospital sickness crisis, beep beep beep, you know, having cords and having students coming in and out at Wesley in my first birth, to being able to labor at home and get adjusted and move around. And I still had a hospital birth with that last set of twins, but I was able to move through labor a lot differently, which then my water broke at home and things moved more seamlessly at the hospital. So movement is key. Also look into the Miles circuit. I have a video that I'll attach in the comments for you to check out what the Miles circuit is. In this day and age of YouTube, you guys can find everything you could possibly want. We something I did not mention in pregnancy that I definitely should have is spinning babies, and I'll add that under the yoga section so you guys can look it up and check it out to help with positioning. Breathing techniques we talked about. So Lamaze, hypnobirthing techniques. There's all kinds of videos on this. The key is that you need oxygen. Your baby needs oxygen. And finding our breath through pain allows us to mitigate the signals going to our brain, and it optimizes our ability to dance with the process instead of resist it. When we aren't breathing, our body, our fight or flight response cues on. So breathing is key. Water, I think, is, water births and being able to ease the pain, and just soothe the progression of the birthing process is huge. Water was always really comforting to me. Not saying it's for everyone, but access to, water and being in it through your laboring process can just be such a help. Natural pain relievers like acupressure, essential oils, arnica, heat packs, different massage techniques that your significant other can learn. Well-Adjusted Babies has tons of stuff for this in it about how to prepare yourself leading up to and during, things that you can do, things that your partner can do. And just keeping those things on hand, right? And being able to say, like, preparing with a doula for your significant others, well, they're not feeling what you're feeling. So having those, discussions prior to, of like, hey, when I say I can't do this anymore, I don't want you to take the pain away. I want you to help me lean into it, right? Like having those conversations ahead of time, and here's how I want to be supported. And that's why I think doulas are such a crucial support. The last thing I'll talk about in the birth and labor department is, induction. So we have seen it, me being in practice over the last 10 years, crazy uptick in inductions. I would say more often than not, even if women don't go into it, almost all doctors, I feel like, discuss, the potential of induction because we're up against these due dates that are only right 3% of the time. And with induction, we know, like you've heard me say over and over again, there's purpose in the waiting. And if it's not time yet, it's not time yet. If I'm looking at these trees outside, and I would never scream at the tree or tell the tree, okay, you had all the time you need. It's like you should have been grown by now. And while I do understand there are a small percentage of times when we do need to intervene, our level of intervention is astronomical, and our maternal and infant health rates show it. I mean, we have atrocious stats for, the amount of money that we spend in healthcare. Our everything's going up, not down, right? Like we're seeing issues in intervention, we're seeing issues in infant health, we're seeing issues in maternal health crashing because we're trying to control nature, and that puts us out of balance with it. So, induction can lead to an increased risk of C-section, fetal distress. Pitocin causes really strong contractions that happen more frequently, which potentially cuts off oxygen flow to baby and ups the anxiety in mom. If we have babies too soon, we know that there's risk of premature birth. It causes respiratory and developmental challenges when we're hyperstimulating the uterus with things like pitocin or induction. Then there's a risk for uterine rupture or other birth complications, and it can be a longer, more painful birth, which just wears on the mom and the baby and often lands us in that, like, you know you know surgical forceps vacuum type situation because mom's just exhausted. So I'm going to link a video with some natural things that you can do to help get things going when you're getting around that time, to help work with nature, not force it. And again, this is where you got to be your own advocate, and why a village is so important. It's like, is there medical necessity to induce? Or is there another reason we're doing that? Is it schedule based? Is it convenience based? Is it, first time moms, it's big because we don't know if your 40 week is 40 weeks or if it's 41. And so we want to give you some time. And moms enter this realm there at the end where it's like, I'm so done. And is really hard. And that's when your village comes in clutch and they speak that life into you, that you can do this and you're almost there. And every day that you keep this baby in, the stronger and healthier they're going to be. And so consider all the risks and benefits again with induction, and make your choice from a place of power, not fear. And I do know there's exceptions to every rule. So, this video is not meant to instill any guilt or shame. There's enough of that to go around the world 3 or 4 times. And, I really want you to trust your intuition. I really want you to trust the process and trust nature and the outcome. If it happened, it was supposed to happen. I have a lot of regrets about, the way that I was prepared or not for my second set of twins in 2016, and Magnolia's birth was euphoric. I thank you, God, for that one. And then I had an emergency C-section, which went against everything. I mean, they had to put me under. I didn't get to hold him. I'm still healing layers of my C-section scar. And it allows me to connect with every single woman who comes in the office who has a C-section. So I believe God's purpose could be for me to feel through that pain so that I can help other women in pain. So if it happened, it's because it was meant to happen, and it's happening for me. And so I don't want to guilt anybody. I do want to try and set us all up for success as much as possible, because I do believe we were built, stitched together, and designed to grow humans and birth them. And less intervention is ideal. Going into postpartum care, and man, get fired up, because I think, uh, the postpartum population is probably the most under-nurtured, I don't even think we recognize what a woman is going through in that time frame. And in different cultures and in ancient times, these women were still. They laid in their bed. They didn't move. Their mothers, their grandmothers, their sisters, their aunts, like, brought them meals and helped with the baby or the other children. And there was just, in today's culture, it's like, you get this window of time off and you get back at it. And we're just such a busy, consumptive culture, and that impacts our mothers and ultimately makes our kids sick. And so, moms, don't rush. Take time, listen to your body. Every woman's different. Like, slow it down to your pace and what feels most honoring for what you went through and what you need. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Look to nutrient dense foods. So, I mean, this is big: bone broths, leafy greens, healthy fats, to optimize, your healing, but also your milk production, and stay away from the things that siphon your energy. I mean, it's so easy to jump back into our patterns, but we really need to take this window of time to build our self back up. Perennial healing, like sitz baths and herbs. Use witch hazel to soothe the area depending on how things went for you. Those sitz baths can be huge. Arnica is a really great homeopathic option that helps reduce tissue swelling and bruising. And I feel like it helped me heal really well. I took the tablets. You can also use, the cream when it's safe to use topically, but heal that area and move slowly. Try not to lift things that you don't have to lift, which I always laugh when I say it to mom, because I remember, nursing twins and having the carriers days when she's like, don't lift a laundry basket. I was like, yeah, okay. In what world? I have a set of twins running around the house, and I have a set of twins that needs changed, fed. Like, do what you got to do, but try not to do any more than you have to do. And please, 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 for the love of yourself and your children, ask for help when you need it. Pelvic floor health. I believe every single woman should honestly have to go be evaluated by a pelvic floor therapist. We love Kansas Pelvic Health and Wellness. Um, Rory Vaden says, do the things today that will save you time tomorrow. So the way that you tend to yourself in this window will give back to you tenfold months and years down the road. So consider, pelvic floor therapy to strengthen your core again and to help with any healing from the effects of your birth. Again, look at the Bloom method, because for ease and convenience, that's an app right there on your phone that covers postpartum care. Reach out for breastfeeding support. Beautiful Bond is a really great lactation consulting here locally. Love Julie. Tongue ties, I want to talk about. It's a whole nother video, so we'll do that at another time. There's a lot to unpack there, but again, the village comes into play. And then be aware of your postpartum mental health. I mean, this is big. Your hormones are all over the place. Your mood is all over the place. Your energy is all over the place, and now you have this whole other human that needs you constantly. And you gave birth, you grew a human, and so slow and steady. And if you feel off, ask for help and turn to a friend. Come to see your chiropractor, your naturopath, your doula, your midwife. Ask for help because you deserve it. And everybody's village looks different. But, I think if we show up for our postpartum moms more, because as one and seeing, countless of you over the years, it's hard to have that awareness when you're exhausted. And so maybe the challenge to all of us is to just, if you know a mom who's expecting or who's recently given birth, what's one thing you can do, whether it's a kind text message, whether it's a gift certificate to DoorDash, or taking her a meal, or offering to help with the kids, or doing a load of laundry. Is there something that you could do for a pregnant or postpartum mom today? Because you never know how far reaching your kindness could be to her or to her family. So I know there's a lot that I did not cover, but I hope that this spoke to some of our moms. Please share it, and please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll see y'all next week.